welcome to our continuing discussion on international relations theory. Till now we have seen how international relations is primarily relations between states, among states, but it also involves many other institutions, non-governmental organizations. Its concerns start with security of the states, survival of the states, but move on to more complex issues like economic well-being, economic cooperation, environmental issues, issues of human rights, and others. Under the various IR theories, we have discussed the realist theory, which has a pessimistic view of human nature, which believes that there is anarchy in the international system, that national security and state survival are the foremost objectives of all states, that acquisition and possession of power is the most important objective, that international politics is primarily power politics and there is no higher authority, no world government. Realist thinkers also believe that there is a hierarchy of power, not all states are not equal. There is also a struggle between great powers for security and domination. National interest is the final arbiter of foreign policy. The treaties, conventions, customs, rules, laws, these are expedient arrangements which states can follow or discard depending on their national interest. Realists also don't believe in any progressive change in world politics. On the other hand, the core liberal assumptions are, first of all, they have a positive view of human nature. They believe individuals are self-interested and competitive, but at the same time, individuals can engage in cooperative social action, can collaborate with each other, and therefore international relations can also be cooperative. There is a fundamental belief in human reason, in human progress, and here we can see the influence of developments in Europe starting from 16th century onwards, Renaissance, Reformation, commercial revolution, emergence of a middle class, increasing prosperity, then industrial revolution, age of enlightenment, and finally the French Revolution, the revolutions of 19th century by which individual rights and freedoms and liberty came to be emphasized. So these are some of the core beliefs in international system, in liberal theory. The liberals also have a belief in faith in international cooperation, the possibility of international cooperation. There are many shades of liberal theory. One is sociological liberals who believe in transnational ties between societies, individuals and groups. Then there are interdependence liberals who talk about or emphasize economic ties. There are institutional liberals who believe in organized cooperation between states. And finally, there are Republican liberals who believe that democratic governments promote peace and cooperation. Basic liberal assumptions are a fundamental belief in human reason and potential for human progress, modernization, scientific revolution, all these are core assumptions of the liberal theory. They also believe that with improved technologies and efficient production, human society grows, evolves, develops. The capitalist economy emphasizes material welfare and leads to increasing of the living standard of the people, then emergence of civil society, which emphasizes individual liberty, and there is liberal intellectual revolution with fundamental belief in rationality. Modern liberal states, they guarantee individual liberty. States are constitutional entity meant to protect life, liberty and property. There is concept of natural rights by John Locke, for example. Then there is this yardstick by Jeremy Bentham, the greatest happiness of the greatest number. Basically, the liberals emphasize the well-being and the liberty and safety and security of the individual. Conflict and war, liberals believe, are not inevitable. There is possibility of mutually beneficial cooperation. Uh, Individualism is the core value of liberal thinking, which believes that happiness and contentment of the individual is most important concern of the state. They believe in republican and democratic states. Constitutional states respect each other. A rational interest of constitutional states make them adhere to international law, and they also believe that republics would eventually lead to, if there are more republics in the world, it would lead to perpetual peace. That was the belief of Immanuel Kant. There are institutional liberals. Woodrow Wilson was the most important institutional liberal who talked about transforming IR from a jungle of chaotic power politics to a zoo where the action of individuals can be regulated, or similarly action of states can also be regulated. The present day institutional liberals are less optimistic about qualitative transformation of IR. International institutions are meant for promoting peace, promoting cooperation. They are not scraps of paper or handmaidens of strong states. International institutions can promote cooperation between states. Without formal organization, there can be other arrangements, for example, law of sea. Institutions can be universal, these can be regional also. International institutions promote peace. Their scope concerns, number of states, all states or a few number of states. There are three measures through which institutionalization can be promoted. First is commonality, degree to which expectations about appropriate behavior and understanding about how to interpret action are shared. There is specificity, degree to which expectations are clearly specified. There is autonomy, the extent to which institutions can alter their own rules. Institutions have proved to be successful, especially in Western Europe during the Cold War. The new realists, they believe that the end of Cold War is likely to bring instability to Western Europe. Recent developments in the field of IR theory is that role of state has been re-emphasized. Liberal intergovernmentalism has been re-emphasized. New functionalist theory focuses on international cooperation driven by functional challenges. Revised analytical framework combines both intergovernmental and functional elements. The role of leadership, democracy and legitimacy has been emphasized. Another important aspect or school of thought among the liberals are the Republican liberals. which believe that liberal democracies are more peaceful and law-abiding than other political systems, that democracies do not fight each other. Immanuel Kant, who was a thinker during late 18th century, he talks about perpetual peace. He says that republican states, he does not call them democracies, he calls them republican states, they do not fight each other. Another thinker is Sorensen, who believes that as number of democracies increase worldwide, the prospects of a peaceful world would also be much more. International relations is marked by cooperation instead of conflict. There is Michael Doyle. Michael Doyle talks about domestic political cultures based on peaceful conflict resolution. He believes Republican liberalism can promote peace because Republican liberal states, within the states there is a democratic political culture based on peaceful conflict resolution. They try to resolve conflicts within the state through negotiation, through bargaining, through talking instead of conflict. It also believes, Michael Doyle also says that democratic governments are responsible to their citizens, and citizens will normally not support war with other democracies because they are more inclined towards peace, they are more inclined towards their well-being, and they know that wars undermine individual life, threaten individual life, undermine individual liberty, and therefore democratic governments are likely to support peace with other democracies, and this is the foundation of this democratic theory of republican liberalism. They also talk about a zone of peace. And this zone of peace is the zone of those democratic states who believe in peace and who have a common moral foundation. They have peaceful ways of solving conflicts, and they believe that peaceful ways of solving conflicts are morally superior to conflict and war. Liberty and various types of freedoms of expression, association, movement. These are all the common moral foundations of republican or democratic states. Immanuel Kant calls it a pacific union, a union of such states who believe in peaceful ways of resolving conflicts and who try to avoid war. So, this is a zone of peace or pacific union, as Immanuel Kant said. Another basic foundation which makes it possible, which makes this pacific union or zone of peace possible, is economic interdependence among states. Peace between democracies is strengthened through economic cooperation. When states indulge in trade and other forms of economic cooperation, then they are likely to be more inclined towards peace and avoid war, because war would endanger this economic interdependence, which leads to economic well-being. Immanuel Kant calls it the spirit of commerce, mutual and reciprocal gain for those involved in international economic cooperation and exchange. And this lays the foundation for a peaceful world, for a peaceful domestic environment and peaceful world. The Republican liberals have hope and confidence in democratic progress. Peace and cooperation will prevail in international system, in international relations, with spread of democracy. As more and more countries become democratic, they will also become more peaceful, and this will lead to greater global peace, international harmony. There is a normative element. The normative element is because there is a responsibility uh, for the states, for the leadership to promote democracy worldwide. So this gives a normative element to Republican liberals. Democratic transformations in Eastern Europe, Latin America and Africa has given hope for greater world peace. And we talk about first wave, second wave and third wave of democracy. In the last 30 years, after the end of Cold War, disintegration of Soviet Union, more and more countries in Eastern Europe, the former communist regimes of Eastern Europe, and similarly in Latin America, Africa and Asia have become, have transitioned to democracy, and that strengthens the cause of Republican liberals, the cause of world peace. Of course, there are limitations to this strand of thinking, this approach to international relations, or this school of thought, liberal thought. Uh, the first limitation is that democracies evolve over time. Democratic political culture takes time to get roots in various societies. It cannot happen in a matter of years or decades. It may take centuries. Then this is the first limitation, that democracy takes time to evolve. Democratic political culture takes long time to get ingrained in political culture or societies of these states. The another limitation of the Republican liberal thought approach is that some countries are likely to revert back to non-democratic rule or authoritarian rule. Sometimes the example of Russia is given after the Soviet disintegration in 1991. During the 1990s, Russia tried to create a democratic liberal political system and a market economy, a capitalist economy. However, it did not succeed very much, and in the last 20 years, 10 years, we have seen Russia is moving back to a more authoritarian government. So there is democratic backsliding in Russia, and similarly in many other countries. Another criticism of Republican liberalism, of this peace theory, is the track record of many of the democratic countries. The most powerful of them, US, during the Cold War was not at all averse to changing regimes in democratic countries. The example of Chile in 1973, when Allende, the then elected president, was removed by CIA. Similarly, in the subsequent period also, the US has taken recourse to war to undermine legitimate governments, democratically elected governments. Similarly, the record of democratic consolidation has been very uneven in Eastern Europe and elsewhere. Both in the countries of North and South, there has been great variation. Many of the countries of Eastern Europe, although they could build a democratic political setup, but in recent times, in recent 5-10 years, we have seen that many of them, in many of these countries, there has been undermining of democratic freedoms or human rights and individual rights. Similarly, the record of countries of North and South, the developed countries of Western Europe, of North America, and Japan, Korea, the developed world, and the countries of the South, to which India also belongs, there is a divergence in their performance, and the relations between the countries, the so-called democratic countries of North and South, has not always been smooth. So, the claim that democracies are peaceful, that democracies cooperate with each other, is not testified by the real world examples. First, as I said, the record of US, which has undermined democratic regimes in many countries, and then the democratic backsliding in Russia and other countries. That shows the limitations of democratic peace theory. There is cautious optimism, as I said, because of democratic backsliding. The global Pacific Union of new and old democracies is not something which can be taken for granted, is not something which is guaranteed. Most of the new democracies don't meet some of the conditions of democratic peace. For example, in many of them, significant economic disparity is there. Economic growth has not led to well-being of all. Similarly, the respect for human rights and individual rights is not something which can be taken for granted. So, as I said, most of the new democracies don't meet the fundamental conditions for democratic peace. Francis Fukuyama, who talked about end of history and the victory of liberal democracy, he also talked about the universalization of Western liberal democracy as the final form of human government. However, the real world examples, as I said, do not prove this claim that Western liberal democracy has become the final form of human government. In fact, there is a complex relationship between democracy and peace. As I said, many of the democratic countries like US, their foreign policy was not very democratic, was not supportive of democratic governments or individual rights. Similarly, the track record of many of the European countries which were democracies, which remained democracy, including United Kingdom, Great Britain, which was a democracy, but that did not prevent it from colonizing large parts of Asia and Africa. So, the record of these democratic countries is not something which can be commended. Of course, there is something called a democratic war. Many of the democracies claim that the wars that they indulge in are democratic wars. They aim to promote democratic peace, but of course, there are serious questions about such claims. Critics point out that the connection between liberal democracy and peace is not as clear as Republican liberals sometimes claim. Republican liberalism, the foundation stone of Republican liberalism is that democracies do not go to war against each other, owing to a domestic political culture of peaceful conflict resolution, owing to their common moral values, which all of them share, and owing to mutually beneficial economic ties economic interdependence between these countries, which all these promote a democratic peace. But there is a larger debate. There are core questions between liberalism and realism. The first question is, can liberal world escape anarchy? Will liberal world, more democracies, higher level of interdependence, economic interdependence, and more international institutions, will it actually reduce anarchy and war? These are some of the fundamental issues between realism and liberalism, which we will discuss in the next lecture. Thank you very much.